Expand your mind and enrich your world. It's time for another outstanding podcast from ICRT. This is Taiwan Talk.
This is Taiwan Talk on ICRT.
Now for a Taiwan Talk podcast extra. We're joined by an individual who has been involved in some of the movements we've discussed today. Ting-an Lin has taken part in the 5-6 movement, that is, weekly demonstrations at Liberty Square in the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, opposing the development of nuclear energy in Taiwan. She's also been an active member of the Alliance for Anti-Media Monopoly since 2012. This is a group that spearheaded the opposition to the acquisition of Next Media. Ting-an Lin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me here.
I still haven't mentioned the incident that you're perhaps best known for. About a year ago, you were the subject of some media attention in Taiwan. I'll rehash the details as quickly as I can. During a trip to the U.S. for your studies, you contacted MIT professor Noam Chomsky. And after you explained the situation in Taiwan with regards to the Next Media acquisition, he agreed to meet with you. And now, somewhat famously, he also agreed to hold up a sign reading, "Oppose media monopoly, reject the black hand of China, uphold freedom of the press, I protect Taiwan" in MIT. This was part of a broad online campaign, and the photo went viral all through Facebook. Now, the sign was in Chinese, and he later said that he didn't know that it contained anything about China, saying that he only wanted to signal his support for freedom of the press. The China Times picked up this story. That's a media outlet owned by the Want Group, which is part of the consortium looking to acquire Next Media. And China Times released a series of reports that indicated that you misled Professor Chomsky. Now, this was all a year ago, so I don't really want to go into the back and forth on all the details of this, but I will just note, I should say that Professor Chomsky did eventually release a statement in which he said that while he didn't understand everything that the sign said, he did, quote, didn't charge anyone with deceit or misrepresentation, and he said that he assumed it was simply a misunderstanding resulting from the fact that he didn't understand Chinese. Now, at the time, you were still an undergraduate student, is that right?
I just graduated from finished my undergrad at that time, but I'm applying for a PhD program.
So you were still quite young. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience of being singled out by a major media organization, and what do you feel like you learned from that experience?
Okay, so in fact, it's really surprised me for being singled out from that media, because I met Chomsky on the beginning of January in 2013. But at the time that when I was attacked, it more confirmed me that what I'm doing now is really important, because we are in the anti-media monopoly movement, and the One China Times Media Group is really a huge group, and they twist my meaning, because the placard is saying something like against the media monopoly, and we just want to point out that there is some China factor included in that event, but they translate it and saying that is against China placard. So for some people, if they just receive the information from their news or from their TV news, they will think that I did some misleading thing. But only for students or some people who go through the Facebook and read the news from some independent media, they will know some other story and from my side. So that more concerned me that media monopoly is really an important and dangerous issue if we don't step out, and maybe lots of our information will be blocked and we don't even know about it.
All right. Now, moving on to the other work that you've done, how did you get involved originally in the protest movement, in both the nuclear movement and the anti-media monopoly movement? What about those two movements in particular got you interested? I
think I'm always believe that there are some really basic rights or freedoms that should belong to every people. So like the right to speak freely, the right to think freely, or the right to live in a safe environment without fear. So I joined the anti-media monopoly movement because I think it's important to uphold our right for the free press. And also I joined the anti-nuclear movement because I think it's so important for us to live in a safe environment in Taiwan, and we don't have to fear that the nuclear plant might explode someday. So I think that's two issues really related to some fundamental and really basic rights of a human being. Without those rights, I think all the other pursuits or achievements will be meaningless.
Can you talk a little bit about the form that your protests have taken?
Yeah, so for the anti-nuclear movement, we went to the Liberty Square every Friday evening, and there are lots of like directors or maybe some independent bands they will join, and we some students. In fact, we are not really a professional singer, but we joined that and we designed a really huge windmill, and we called it as a windmill chorus. And so we sang 2 songs every week. Sometimes it's a Taiwanese song, or sometimes it's some anti-nuclear song. And we also express our opinions to some related public issues. And we want to, through the music, through the songs, we want to express our belief that there will be a better future if we all step out.
So it sounds like it's pretty important to you to have fun while you're protesting.
Yeah, it's really have fun, yeah. And because I think in the past, Taiwan, the protest in Taiwan that's not so happy, and people are just complaining, and some people like really pessimistic about it. But I think because now there are more and more younger generation to get involved, and I think we should make the protest become more excited and become more energetic, because it's not really sad thing to do, but it's a thing that should call everyone's energy and call everyone's concern. And because our goal is for some better future, so we should be happy and excited to get involved and show our opinions and our enthusiasm. So I always think that the protest can be very happy and like a party, and just to discuss and express our opinions.
And what about the anti-media monopoly? What kind of protest did you hold for that?
Yeah, there was a protest in January of 2013 at the Legislative Yuan because that KMT decided to withdraw their support for a bill against media monopoly. So we, about like 30 students, we went to the Legislative Yuan and we sat in at the front door of it in the morning. But we want to call some attention, but nobody cared about us. Around noon, we decided to just ran through the back gate and get into the Legislative Yuan. And so we got to the entrance of the General Assembly Hall, and we hold on our slogans, and we sang our songs. Some songs like Formosa or some Taiwanese song there, and we cry for our demands. But in the end, after about 2 or 3 hours, there's only one person. It's Wu Yuzhen, and he came out, but he didn't apologize, and he just said something unrelated. And after it, the police took out their shields, and they pushed us and hit us and made us fall down, and then took us out one by one. But the female students are usually taken out later, since there are fewer female police to do so. So I remember that we are still like 6 female students left. So we sat there and we arm in arm, and we sang a song really loudly, and we cry for our demands. And we asked the police that don't they share the same goal with us? Don't they also want the freedom of press in Taiwan? But they just keep silence. But I can read from their eyes that I think they can't be touched when we sing those songs.
And how has your family and friends reacted so far to your involvement in these protests?
Yeah, I think most of my friends, they show support. And for my family, they have they are kind of support, because I think they told me that they share the same belief as me, like the anti-media monopoly or anti-nuclear. But they are also concerned about my safety, because I'm now applying for a PhD program, and they concerned that maybe some school, they will read my Facebook page and find out that I'm a student activist. And maybe the academic circle in Taiwan, they will find me become very troublesome and maybe won't give me the admission. So they want me to, they agree with my opinion, but they say that maybe you don't have to expose yourself to the public so often, or you don't have to write it so clearly on your Facebook page. Yeah, but I think I'm still really lucky that they agree with me about what the thing that I have done, especially during the Chomsky incident. My parents, they really support me and say, don't worry, even though they attack you, we will always believe you and to be your backup.
Do you think that the protest movements that you've taken part of have had any positive impacts that you can point to?
Yeah, I think it is. Especially, I would like to mention like the 5-6 movement, because I think in the past there are really few public debates in Taiwan, especially on street. But right now, on every Friday evening, even though it's really a bad like typhoon weather or it's so cold or raining, there will be at least like 100 of people. They will gather into Liberty Square, and people just go. They just get there and share their opinions, and sometimes they just sing some songs together. But I think it's really a huge change because people don't just hide in their comfortable circle and to only care about their salaries, but they would like to concern about public issues, and they would like to chat to discuss with others. And I think it's a really a huge improvement in Taiwan.
So people are becoming more engaged with these movements over time, and they're thinking about these issues more.
Yes, and I think the situation getting better, especially in the younger generation. So it's not really as the strawberry tribe assigned to the young generation. I think the young generation can be really tough and can show lots of support to this kind of movement.
All right. Well, Ting-an Lin, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to Taiwan Talk. You can let us know what you thought about the show by leaving a comment on our Facebook page or by rating and reviewing the show on iTunes. This lets us know what you're thinking, and it helps other people discover the show. For ICRT, I'm Keith Menconi.